I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully.
Is there something going on that we're missing?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks?
Yeah.
That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Tim Walz's carefully guarded image just went up in flames. Tyrus didn't hold back. He smashed them wide open for the world to see. This isn't some random outburst. It's Tyrus going scorched earth, ripping into Walz's past like he's tearing open a locked vault. And what comes spilling out is crazier than a midnight circus. Once Tyrus lets loose, there's no escape. Walz has nowhere left to run and nothing left to hide.
It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the out of him back. This is a weak, cruel man that takes it out and punches.
Tyrus didn't just roll out of bed, pour himself a coffee, and casually toss Tim Walz's name into the mix. No, he woke up, scrolled through the endless headlines, saw the mess unfolding, and decided right then, enough is enough. And when Tyrus says enough, it doesn't come off like some quiet complaint. It erupts with the force of a WWE promo, the kind that promises chaos, fireworks, and a body slam straight through the political coffee table.
Masculinity is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I mean, I think it goes, you know, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement.
How do you fight it?
And well, this
I
notion
think
of
I could kick most of their.
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter. And who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes to manhood. You can't.
If you are enjoying this takedown, please hit that subscribe button. There he is, going off on Tim Walz, and people are stunned. Not because Tyrus is loud, he always is, but because suddenly the spotlight is fixed on Minnesota's relatable dad turned governor. And that polished image starts to crack wide open, like a Walmart parking lot full of potholes.
Yeah.
A teacher snatches the bully's ass up.
Yeah.
Come sit with me. That's what I know. Someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember his speeches. I don't know what the hell was in the water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak. He can't speak. Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show. And I said this in the 5. He's a clown without a...
Tim Walz has been packaged to America as the calm, regular guy, the neighbor who'd help move your couch, wave from his lawnmower, maybe even show up at the church picnic with potato salad. But Tyrus isn't taking a bite. He's poking it with a fork, eyeing it with suspicion, and declaring, this doesn't taste like authenticity. It reeks of politics left out in the sun.
I feel bad for Elon. I would be furious if I was him. If this is who you sent to troll me?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names?
Yeah.
Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz is talking about you. I'd be like, old Timmy, I want to fight him so bad.
And that's where the first punch lands. Tyrus doesn't see Walz as the lovable small-town everyman. He sees him as a slick politician who mastered the art of smiling while quietly sliding new policies under the door, like a hotel bill you never agreed to pay. On the surface, Walz's background reads like a movie script designed to inspire teacher, football coach, veteran, a champion of small-town values. You hear it and think, this guy is basically the walking, talking version of a State Farm commercial. But here's the the problem. Once Walz actually got into office, the script didn't match the performance, and that's where Tyrus goes digging, because nothing fires people up more than the distance between what politicians say and what they really do. And Walz? His gaps are massive, wider than any Minnesota pothole in the dead of winter. That's when Tyrus starts pulling receipts, not with spreadsheets or binders, but with the hammer of comedy. He calls out Walz's greatest hits, like the COVID-19 lockdowns that somehow made it legal to buy booze at a gas station, but illegal to sit in a church pew. And he doesn't stop there. Tyrus drags out the contradictions, the inconsistencies, the political flip-flops Walz has stacked up over the years like a collection of Pokemon cards. Only this deck doesn't make him a hero, it makes him a punchline.
My tweets, my DMs, like just one arm, and I just want to slap the. He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were gonna go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact. Hit him with something real.
Yes.
You don't have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, "Hey Tim, you want a job?" he would take it, because that's what spineless. He would, and when he was questioned, he was like, "I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him, and I'm so happy to be working for X." He is the worst player on their team, and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be a factor later.
1 minute Walz is for this, the next he's against that, depending entirely on which way the political wind happens to blow. And if you think Tyrus is letting that slide, think again. He doesn't just call it a flip-flop. He paints Walz like a circus act, auditioning for Cirque du Soleil with the number of backflips he's pulled just to stay politically comfortable. Honestly, if Walz ever quit politics, he could probably land a spot in an acrobatics troupe and still stick the landing. It's like a politician swearing he shops at Target while being chauffeured there in a black SUV worth more than your mortgage. The disconnect is so wide, you could march the entire Minnesota Vikings offensive line through it and still have room for the mascot. And here's where it gets juicier. Tyrus doesn't stop at policies or contradictions. He zeroes in on the performance itself.
Rachel Levine, look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I
You've
won't
done that
now,
many
Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by this. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, "I've got to pay taxes." It's the workers.
Because let's be honest, politics today is as much performance as it is substance. Walz knows how to play the role. He's got the tone, the look, the carefully rehearsed vibe. But to Tyrus, it's all smoke and mirrors. He likens it to watching a magician at a kid's birthday party. Everyone else gasps at the trick, but he's the guy in the back yelling, "Check his sleeve." That's the kind of blunt honesty people cling to, because once the illusion is exposed, you can't unsee it. Suddenly, Walz's ordinary guy image looks less like authenticity and more like the political version of an Instagram filter. The pandemic response was the first crack, closing gyms while liquor stores thrived. But the real spotlight came after George Floyd's death. When the streets erupted, businesses burned, fear spread, and leadership was desperately needed. Instead, Walz delivered what many saw as hesitation, delay, or plain confusion. And Tyrus doesn't hold back. He paints Walz frozen in the chaos, standing with a garden hose at a 5-alarm fire, praying the wind shifts before the flames close in.
That's a big red flag. Whenever you meet someone and they have to give you their resume,
yes.
and then as soon as they talk, you're like, "That's why you gave me your resume."
Yeah, because it doesn't speak for itself.
You suck.
Yeah. It's like when people have their PhD
Yes.
on their Twitter handle. It's like, you know, this person's completely bonkers.
And their pronouns.
Yes. Are you mad, though, Tyrus, that, like, beards have been kind of co-opted by beta males like Tyler?
No, because
Watch what you
it's
say.
like all. Wait, hold on. Watch what I say. I will around, stick my hand up your back, and make you my puppet for the rest of.
And that's where the sarcasm peaks, because Tyrus doesn't just say Walz failed, he turns it into a sitcom gone wrong. Picture your neighbor promising to fix the fence, but showing up with duct tape and a shrug. That's the image Tyrus hammers into your head, and once it's there, it won't leave. By the time he's finished, Walz isn't just a politician with a few stumbles. He's a walking contradiction, wrapped in a cardigan of folksy charm, hoping nobody notices the policies sloppily taped underneath. underneath. The brilliance of Tyrus tearing into Walz isn't just the words, it's the delivery. He doesn't sound like a stiff political analyst buried in spreadsheets. He sounds like that loud uncle at Thanksgiving who finally snaps and admits the turkey is bone dry. Walz, of course, has a knack for big promises, free this, expanded that, opportunities for all. On paper, it sounds like Minnesota is about to become a Nordic utopia. Lakes, loons, and affordable healthcare for every goldfish. But in practice, the execution looks less like a polished plan and more like a middle school group project where everyone forgot their part until the last minute.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad.
That's where Tyrus really finds his rhythm. He points out how Walz talks like the hero in a Hallmark movie, but governs like a guy who ditched the script and started ad-libbing. It's politics as karaoke. You recognize the song, but by the second verse, he's mumbling and hoping nobody notices. Take taxes, for example. Walz loves to brand himself as the champion of working families, yet those same families keep opening their mail to find bigger tax bills staring back at them. And Tyrus doesn't bury it in boring fiscal jargon. He paints Walz creeping into your house at night, rummaging through couch cushions for spare change, and then bragging about funding the future. Meanwhile, Minnesota's schools are sinking fast. Test scores are slipping, curriculum battles are exploding, and parents are left more confused than a cat tossed into a swimming pool. Tyrus tears into the irony. A governor who once taught kids about responsibility, but now can't seem to steer the state's educational ship without slamming into iceberg after iceberg.
What do you make? Whoa, you got something there?
Hold on, before we do this, man, I got to protein up. Hold on.
Chug. Oh, he's chugging it.
I need more protein, Gutfeld. I got my protein pudding, my protein shakes, jerky if you piss me off, but this ain't enough protein for this segment, Greg. I gotta old school this story here.
Where'd you get that?
Then there's Law and Order, and the contradictions there could fill a Netflix series. Walz plays the empathetic leader, preaching justice, fairness, and reform. But then, bam, chaos erupts in the streets, businesses board up, and leaders scramble with no clear solution. Tyrus calls it out like a bad sitcom. Picture the governor walking into mayhem, clapping his hands and saying, "All right, guys, let's calm down," while the scene unravels like Black Friday at Walmart. And what about his military background? Walz served, and that's supposed to be his badge of credibility, a leadership card he flashes whenever his choices get questioned. It's the political version of pulling out baby pictures to win an argument. But here's the kicker. Tyrus doesn't just expose contradictions, he ridicules the performance. Walz has mastered the art of looking stern when it's convenient and cheerful when the polls demand it. Tyrus calls it pure political shape-shifting, like one of those mood rings from the 90s. Whatever the public feels, Walz suddenly mirrors it, transforming into a full-on political chameleon.
I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there? I gotta tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird.
And here comes the comedy gold. Tyrus paints Walz as the kind of guy who literally rehearses empathy in the mirror. Do I look concerned? Should I tilt my head 30 degrees? Maybe 45? It's exaggerated, but the image lands, and suddenly you can't help picturing Walz practicing his "I care deeply" face in the bathroom before every press conference. Meanwhile, Tyrus rips into Walz's favorite talking point, unity. He loves to preach about bringing people together. Sounds noble, right? Except under his watch, Minnesota has been about as unified as a family Monopoly game after 2 hours. Boards flipped, rules argued, and someone storming out of the room. Walz rolls up his sleeves, talks about his small town roots, maybe even drops a dad joke to sell the folksy charm. But to Tyrus, that's no different than a used car salesman tossing on a baseball cap to look relatable. The car is still broken, but hey, at least he looks like he might watch football with you. And here's the sting. Tyrus says Walz's contradictions don't stop at policy. They're baked into his image. He's not the everyman. He's a polished product, carefully packaged for maximum appeal.
Former VP nominee Tim Walz, he joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
So, wait, you lost because you weren't woke enough?
And once Tyrus rips away that packaging, you're not seeing Minnesota nice anymore. You're seeing politics as usual, dressed up in a plaid shirt instead of a suit. By now, the audience isn't just laughing, they're nodding. Because even if you don't agree with every jab, the pattern becomes impossible to miss. The contradictions stack higher, the irony cuts deeper, and the humor makes it unforgettable. That's when Tyrus shifts gears. He stops roasting Walz as an individual and exposes him as a symbol, a stand-in for politicians everywhere who say one thing, do another, and expect applause for the performance. In Tyrus's telling, Walz is running Minnesota like a guy trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the manual. The pieces don't fit, screws are missing, and the whole thing wobbles the moment you lean on it, but there he is, holding the Allen wrench with confidence, insisting he's got it under control. By the time Tyrus unleashes this second wave of attacks, Walz's carefully polished image looks less like a trusted leader and more like a flimsy prop in a political stage play. And the audience, they're hooked, because once someone starts pulling back the curtain, you can't look away.